This is going to be a complete guide on how to export and publish your game to the Google Play Store. But before we get started, there is something you should know. Unfortunately for people publishing games after November 2023, games have to go through a great process of testing before they can be released. You must run a closed test for your app with a minimum of 12 testers who have opted in for at least 14 days continuously. When you meet this criteria, then you can publish your game, and you have to do this with every game. So this is unfortunately bad news for new users. So if you don't already have a Google developer account, I'm not sure you should bother publishing games on the Play Store. If you already have a user, then you're in luck. Begin by opening the Epic Games launcher and find Unreal. Then select Options and download the necessary Android files. When that's done, click the link in the description and download Android Studio. If you already have Android Studio, you can choose to uninstall previous files. Press Next and leave everything as is, including install location. Choose Standard and press Next. Press Accept and install the files. Press More Actions and select SDK Manager. Select Android 14, API level 34, then go to SDK Tools. Click on Show Package Details. Select 34, and then in the NDK section, select the 25.1 version. Scroll down and select the latest SDK command line. Scroll down further and select 3.10. You can remove this hypervisor driver if you want to save some space, but it's not required. Press Apply, OK, Accept. Now the files will install, and then uninstall if you deselected the hypervisor. We can leave Android Studio for now. Download the Java file from the link in the description. Run through the setup, ideally without changing anything. Now launch your game. I recommend trying to export your game to Windows first to make sure there are no errors within your game. So if your export fails later, we know it's not the game. But the export can actually fail on Windows and still succeed on Android, so keep that in mind. Open up your project settings. Configure now. Here you can put your company name. Even if you publish your game as an individual, you'll still need a name. I've seen a lot of different things people set to be the minimum and target SDK, but I recommend setting both to 34. I think the minimum working SDK is 33, but feel free to experiment on your own. Scroll down and check Generate Bundle. Open up the Android SDK section. Here, we need to set the paths. Open up Android Studio again, SDK Manager. Select the path and copy it. Paste it in the first section. To find the next path, paste the first section into your File Explorer and open NDK. Enter this folder. Copy this path and paste it in the next section. To find the Java path, open up your computer and go to your drive, Program Files, Java, JDK17, and copy. Again, a lot of people type in different things in this section, but typing in latest should do just fine. Go to the packaging section. Change build configuration to shipping. Check full rebuild and for distribution. Open the advanced section. Select Cook Only Maps. Add your maps here. I only have one map currently, but if you have more maps like main menus, other levels, etc., add it all here. Now we have to create a Keystore. Go into the Java directory that we pasted in earlier and go into the bin folder. Copy the path. Run cmd as administrator. Type in cd space, then paste in the path. Then copy the line from the description and change the Keystore and alias to whatever you want and paste it in the cmd. Here you'll have to write certain things. Make sure to be thorough with the password, as you'll get an error when you export if you type it in wrong. I will use the password 123456, but you can set this to be anything. Then fill in with your information. I recommend using real details, but you don't have to. Type in yes. Find the Keystore in the bin folder and copy it. Open up your project folder. If you don't see the build folder, try to export your game to create it. Android. Paste it in here. Then copy or remember the name exactly the way it's spelled. Go back to the Android section. Scroll down to distribution signing. Paste in the name. Then type in the alias. Type in the password. You can leave the bottom section blank or type in the password again. Now you should be able to package your game. Go into plugins and make sure Google Pad plugin is enabled. Scroll down to the Google Pad plugin and check all of the options. Go into Android and check this option. Make sure that Package Inside APK is disabled. Before we can upload our game to Google Play, we need to fix the icon for the app. You don't have to set all of them, but I would highly recommend it, as different devices will display different pictures. Open up PaintNet or any other design software of your choice. Create a new canvas and set the resolution accordingly. The icon you use for your game can either be a photo of in-game activity, or you can draw the icon manually, or you can use an AI to generate something. My game is very simple, so AI can do the job just fine. Open the picture and then copy it. Paste and keep canvas size. Hold in Shift and drag from the corner to set the correct size. You can either use the Clone Photoshop tool to remove the watermark, or you can just scale it. Make sure to save the image as PNG. Now repeat the steps for the rest of the pictures. Here we need a 72 by 72, so create a new canvas by that size. If we upload the wrong size, we will get an error. Two of these icons use 48 by 48. Don't worry about the image looking bad and pixelated up close, since it'll look better when you zoom out. Create the last icon. If you're planning to create more apps in the future, I would recommend creating a folder and saving the sizes for later to make things easier, That way you can just drag the photos into the Paint software and the resolution will already be set. You don't have to set the launch images, but make sure to uncheck Show Launch Image, since if you don't, you'll get an error when trying to play the game. If you want to use a launch image, use a widget instead. I recommend naming your project the same name as your game will be named in the Play Store. So since you may not know the name when you create your project at first, I will show you the right way to rename your project. Find your project and rename the folder. Open up the folder and rename your project file as well. Then delete the intermediate folder. Relaunch your game and you're good to go. If you don't have a developer account, search for Google Developer Console on Google. Select this page. Then you can follow the steps here and register your account. Some things to note. You will need a payment method and a way to verify your identity. Google will also request a proof of address, so keep that in mind. So once you're in your developer console, go to Home and click on Create App. Fill in the details accordingly. Now we'll have a set of things we'll need to fill out before it's ready. We have to create a privacy policy for our app and launch a website for it. You can either copy the text from the description and edit the stars with your information, or you can use a privacy policy generator. To create the website, search for Google website. Log in with your Google account. It doesn't have to be the same account as your developer account. Create a blank site or use another template. Paste in the privacy policy text and publish the site. Call it something. View your page and copy the URL. The rest of the steps are a bit easier to complete. Answer these questions honestly based on the content of your game. My game doesn't have a login, so I will check the first option. We're going to set up ads in another video, but if you're going to have ads, click on Yes. Now we have to fill out a questionnaire to determine the PEGI rating of our game. Again, answer honestly based on the content of your game. You'll see our game's rating in different countries. Some options will be limited if we target an audience below 15. This one's self-explanatory. These settings may need to be changed when we add ads, but for now I will select No. Select No. If your app doesn't involve real money, select the last option. Sometimes we have to leave the page and re-enter. Almost done now. Add some tags for your game. To edit these sections, press the Edit button to the right. This doesn't have to be dead on accurate. Fill in some contact information, and for the website, I will use the privacy policy page. Here we need to set up the appearance of our game on the store. Add a description of your game. Know that the app icon has to be the same as the Unreal icon we created earlier. If you use a different one, Google won't let you publish. Here, the resolution is 512 by 512. Picture can be saved as JPEG or PNG. Add a feature graphic. The resolution is 1024 by 500. If you have a trailer or gameplay of your game, you can post a link to it here, but note the requirements below. For phone screenshots, use a format of 9 by 16 or 16 by 9, depending on your game's orientation. We need at least 2 screenshots. If you want a standing screenshot, use a resolution of 1080 by 1920. You can fill in the rest of the images, but you don't have to. Save. If you have an old developer account, you don't have to release your game for testing. To publish your game, scroll down to this section. Add all countries. Go back and click on Create New Release. You can either press Upload and locate the Android AAB file, or you can drag it in. If you have previously uploaded the file for testing, you can also find it in the library. Once it's done, you can ignore everything here. You can ignore warnings, but if you have any errors, they will have to be resolved. Review time can take anything from some minutes to a couple of days. If everything is okay, your app will be active. To update the game, go to Android and increment the store version. Then, repackage and repeat the process. And that's it. Your app may be rejected, but no need to panic. Just fix the issues you may have and re-upload the same way you would update the game. Here, I got rejected for not using the same image in Unreal and Google. Be patient when trying to find your game on the Play Store. It can take up to a week before it even shows up when you search for it. You can also find it by searching for your company name.